In a Target 3 investigation, signs of an ongoing gas leak killing crops, polluting air and water.
Despite a legal battle between a small-town farm family and a large gas company, experts tell us nothing is being done to stop it. WCNI 3's Mark Maxwell investigates the clear and present danger in Livingston County.
This is one of 8 underground natural gas storage facilities Nicor maintains in Illinois.
I was surprised that natural gas was kept in this fashion.
In the early 1960s, Illinois granted Nicor 2 permits to bury gas out of sight, deep underground in naturally occurring aquifers in Ancona and nearby Garfield. Later, despite geological studies warning a fissure in the capstone could cause a leak, Nicor still merged those 2 fields into one massive storage facility. Attorney Ruth Robinson represents the Solomon family farm that sits on top of the gas field.
The gas seemed to be migrating out of the underground storage where it was supposed to stay.
Jim Stevens inspected wells on gas storage fields for the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for decades.
You cannot know with 100% certainty what is 3,000 feet below ground.
Right. How do you inspect that?
You don't. You don't.
He visited the Ancona Garfield site several times and raised concerns. What are we looking at?
That's a hand-dug water well on property that is now owned by Nicor that is sitting there bubbling because of the natural gas inside the water main. This well is 35 foot deep. They're supposed to be storing at 2,500, 2,800 feet. So it's actually leaving the storage formation through fractures and migrating up to the surface.
That's the very reason why the Solomon family filed a lawsuit against Nicor in 2015 to try and shut the storage facility down.
They don't want this gas bubbling up onto their property.
That lawsuit failed. Nicor appealed. The court kicked the case down to the Illinois Commerce Commission, where it languished, and the Solomon family started running low on money.
Methane gas is not hazardous to your health other than as an explosive hazard or as an inhalation hazard. There's houses in Kansas blowing up because of natural gas leaking into houses.
Nicor's website has instructions for how to spot a gas leak. 1, look for discolored vegetation, blowing dirt, or continued bubbling water. Listen for a hissing sound, and smell for the distinctive rotten egg odor of natural gas. When we went to the Solomon family farm to investigate, it didn't take long to find all 3. And watch what happens when we put this gas detector near this hole. There is no doubt in my mind there is something coming from out of this hole right now, something cool, something that smells terrible, and something that sets this gas detector off. We're going to see if we can detect any leaking gas coming from the bottom of this pipe. That's a positive test for leaking gas. Now, listen carefully to see if you can hear the bubbling beneath.
It shouldn't even be there.
The vent pipe?
Yeah. There shouldn't be gas coming to surface like that.
Nicor's massive underground natural gas storage facility is supposed to house the gas hundreds of feet below the surface here. But somehow, evident by this crop death, enough of it is reaching the soil to kill the crops here and scar the cornfields for miles around.
There's one conclusion, that the cap rock, the lid is not working. And, but then nobody does anything about it. Year after year, it's getting worse. You know, there's more and more crop damage. Decades of gas just going up into the atmosphere, and there's nothing being done about that.
Nicor tells us in a statement, quote, a small amount of gas migrates from the storage zone to a shallower zone through natural geological features or conditions that existed prior to the construction of that storage facility in the 1960s. It says it has systems in place to prevent natural gas from getting up into the atmosphere. Quote, "We have installed secondary collection wells that capture the gas in the shallower formations, recompress it, and inject it back into our transmission system." Target 3 reporter Lindsay Jones joins me now. She's poured through thousands of documents that date back decades. Lindsay, court documents show that at times Nicor has pointed to the existence of biogenic gas or natural gas to maybe suggest that perhaps some of this gas isn't all theirs.
Yeah, in fact, Nicor included that note in their response to us, but expert analysts have sampled and tested this gas numerous times over the years, and they found a chemical fingerprint that confirms it is, in fact, Nicor's gas and not naturally occurring drift gas.
And the company says that amount of gas is small. Those are their words. But we still don't exactly know what the volume is, how much might be escaping into the atmosphere.
That's still the biggest mystery here. Nicor knew that geological crack or split existed in the early 60s. They still stored the gas there and expanded the storage field while downplaying the risk of a leak. Initially, state law required them to report any gas leak immediately, but then the Illinois Commerce Commission says it dropped that requirement in the 1980s.
So we zeroed in on the source of the leak, but how much is leaking? Nicor still claims it reports that data back to the state. But several months into this investigation, several public records requests in, we still have not found any state documents yet that would tell us exactly how much methane is escaping that field. Jennifer?
Thank you. Now, there is much more of this story on WCIA.com, much more to come. A whistleblower sounded alarms about high levels of a cancer-causing chemical at Nicor's oldest gas storage facility. He no longer has his job, but our Target 3 team followed up and investigate what's in the water in our second story in the series, Clear and Present Danger.